In today's society, about 34,000 McDonald's are in establishment across 119 countries, according to McDonald's Corporation. McDonald's expansion and progress has evolved into the top franchise and global phenomenon. Finally, in 1967, McDonald's expansion moved international, opening restaurants in Canada and Puerto Rico. Expansion increased internationally, and in 1932, McDonald's had developed in 32 countries for a grand total of 7,778 restaurants worldwide. According to McDonald's Corporation, the original McDonald's was opened in 1955 by Dick and Mac McDonald. Within 10 years, McDonald's had sold its 100th millionth hamburger. The globalization progress for McDonald's has been very successful, but the main focus on American burgers and fries has changed because of localization to international cultures. Growing up, I always knew what McDonald's was and what kind of food I could expect upon entering. On a trip to New Orleans, I stopped for a local McDonald's for some breakfast. I noticed some items on the menu that weren't regional to the Midwest: grits and biscuits and gravy. I didn't notice anything familiar to be missing. In a verbal survey of 25 college-age students, they were asked how they would respond upon entering an international McDonald's to discover that their favorite item is not sold in this particular restaurant. 80% of those surveyed thought it was a big deal that an American franchise would have a possibility of not having their favorite item in other nations. The few that didn't have a problem with McDonald's and not having their favorite item just thought they would order something new. One even responded with, "Trying something new at an international McDonald's allows me to emerge into the local culture." Within the expansion of McDonald's in other nations, select products are not available due to excessive amount of localization. George Ritzer, a professor and sociologist at the University of Maryland, discusses McDonald's need for localization in his book, The McDonaldization of Society 6. Ritzer discusses McDonald's adaptation to international culture. The menu products are adjusted to the cultural tastes, habits, and religion. An example of over-localization is McDonald's restaurants in India. The past couple years, McDonald's has started to open all-vegetarian restaurants. In these restaurants, products contain no meat or animal products. Signs outside of the entrances inform consumers that they are entering an all-vegetarian restaurant. McDonald's posts signs stating "No beef or beef products sold here." The original recipe for the well-known fries does not remain the same because the fries are flash frozen and beef products are used in this process. The reason for the large change is to localize and meet the need for the large population of Hindu and Sikhs. According to Kate Baker in Newsweek article, Not Loving It, she states the possible reason for expansion in India is the large market for American brands. She goes on to discuss how localizing to the local religion will create success for these unique restaurants. These fast food restaurants are located in the heart of the Sikh and Hindu pilgrim sites, meeting the localization of the culture. With the creation of all vegetarian restaurants, McDonald's in India, the trademark of burgers and fries is lost. Current international restaurants are not an accurate depiction of original American franchises. International products that aren't sold in America: Paneer Wrap and McVeggie, a vegetarian options in India; Shaka Shaka Chicken, found in Japan; Chicken McMuffin in China; Lamb in France; McTurko in Turkey; and the BLT bagel served in Canada. This goes to show McDonald's provides to the needs of their consumers. Localization meets the cultural demand for food choices. Barry Smart discusses in Residing McDonaldization, artificial meals such as fast food are replacing traditional home-cooked meals. Home-cooked meals are the backbone of a culture's food identity. When localization meets globalization, a global culture is standardized. Even with variations in the menu options, McDonald's has established a global diet between nations, and without familiarizing local foods with foreign foods, McDonald's has introduced what many think of as American foods. Frank Letcher, a professor at Emory University in Atlanta, wrote in Global Foods, he supports the idea of a global diet even though tastes vary from location to location. Identity of a franchise changes based on location, and Bob Ashley's book, Food and Cultural Studies, states that local consumption of food creates a culinary purity to individual nations. This shift in food choices ruins the purity of the culture. In this case, fast food restaurants are ruining culinary choices because the cultural foods are being produced by fast food restaurants like McDonald's. McDonald's way of producing these localized cultural specialties destroys the purity of a nation's culinary choices. In the article, Global Brands Managing Locally discusses that since companies like McDonald's have been established for so long internationally, young children do not realize that these franchises are foreign. McDonald's has successfully immersed themselves into the local culture. McDonald's would have still become a global success even if there was not localization. Localization of the cultural foods did not result in the global phenomenon that McDonald's has created over the years. Internationally, McDonald's still successfully sells the American trademark of the hamburger and fries, along with localized options. Support from international markets has contributed to billions and billions served. No matter the population or consumption of the United States, this level of success is not achievable by one nation. This statement points out that the franchise has not only nationally succeeded but also internationally. McDonald's serves 67 million consumers every day, according to Wikipedia. To put that into perspective, 67 billion consumers is approximately 212 American citizens to every McDonald's consumer daily, but only equaling about 9% of the world's population. In conclusion, this is the largest success that McDonald's has accomplished through the years. Localization has influenced the global menu of the franchise. The American franchise has changed progressively since its establishment in 1955. Globalizing the franchise was a large move, resulting in a positive and successful benefits. Even with the large success, localizing the cultural taste has influenced the consistency of the franchise. The local menus of international restaurants does not focus on the traditional hamburgers and fries like it had originally. Globalization has changed the American franchise to meet the local needs of international cultures. Menus internationally consist of a lot of unknown products, even unknown to American McDonald's consumers.